Derek Miles hovered over the kitchen counter, squinting at the digital clock. 7:02 a.m. He was late. Again. The ritual was always the same. Dash into the cafe beneath their apartment, order a double espresso, dash back upstairs, shower, dress, and be on his way before Lana even stirred. But today, fate intervened. "Coming," he called, fumbling with the lid of his travel mug. He glanced at the lottery ticket in his hand. Just another impulse purchase, really. He'd forgotten to check the numbers on last week's ticket, and now this one felt like a talisman. As he straightened, his elbow collided with the mug. Dark coffee arced through the air, landing squarely on the pristine white shirt he'd just hung to dry. "No," he gasped. The fabric darkened instantly. He cursed under his breath, yanking the shirt off its hanger. Too late to wash and dry. He'd have to wear the spare, an old button-down with frayed cuffs. Great. He kicked off his slippers and sprinted downstairs. Lana Miles stretched luxuriously in bed, eyes still closed. She smelled the coffee before she heard Derek. A deep, rich aroma seeped through the vent. She rolled over, expecting him to slip quietly out. He'd mentioned an important meeting. But the door creaked, and she heard his hurried footsteps. "Morning," she mumbled, voice thick with sleep. "Hey," he panted, cheeks flushed. "Could you, hand me a towel?" She propped herself up on one elbow. "Your shirt." He sighed. "I'll tell you later." "Big hurry." She paused. Something in his tone made her sit up. "Derek, you're practically panting. Everything okay?" He shot her a quick smile. "Yeah, just spilled coffee on my shirt. I'll grab another later." He pressed a kiss to her forehead and slipped out. Lana watched the door close. His silhouette paused. Then he disappeared down the hallway. Strange. But she rolled back onto her side and drifted between sleep and wakefulness, unaware that on the dresser lay that crumpled lottery ticket, face up under the morning sun. Derek navigated traffic like a pro, weaving through yellow buses and Peugeot taxis. He rehearsed his pitch to the new client, memorizing every bullet point. At the cafe stoplight, he glanced at the dashboard clock. 7:24 a.m. Not bad. He'd still make it on time. He tapped the ticket idly. What if, he whispered. The thought was ridiculous. A $10 ticket. The odds were astronomically against him. Still, the date, December 24th, 24, matched his and Lana's wedding anniversary. A sign. He tossed it aside. Focus. Green light. He accelerated. Back upstairs, Lana finally rose. She stretched, pulled on a silk robe, and padded to the dresser. The sunlight glinted off something. She bent, picked up the paper, and smoothed it out. A lottery ticket. Her brow furrowed. Derek, she called. Nothing. She sank onto the edge of the bed. It felt odd. He never bought tickets. She studied the numbers. 07, 15, 22, 34, 41, 49. They looked familiar. She grabbed her phone and tapped results into Google. A page loaded. Mega Millions winning numbers for December 24th, 24. Her heart thundered as she compared. They matched. Her mind raced. Derek had left in a panic, shirt ruined, phone forgotten. But this was something else entirely. She pressed her palm to her mouth, gasping. She sank back, ticket trembling between her fingers. A winning ticket for $10 million, left behind in a coffee-soaked shirt fiasco. Oh my God, she whispered, tears welling. She didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Tomorrow was her birthday. $10 million would change everything. No more late rent notices. No more stressing over tuition fees. No more wondering if she'd ever get a break. She gripped the ticket like a lifeline and exhaled. The game had just begun. Lana perched at the kitchen table, the crumpled ticket before her like a relic. Early sunlight filtered through lace curtains, painting the room in gold. She pinched the bridge of her nose and dialed her best friend's number. Hey, Chitty, Lana whispered when her friend answered. I need you. Of course, what's up? Chitty yawned, voice sleepy. Lana pressed the ticket under her webcam. See this? Chitty blinked. Did you just? Check the dates. Yesterday's draw. Numbers match. She waited. Heart pounding. There's no way. Chitty's voice cracked. You're joking. I'm not. Lana rose and paced. I found it on our dresser. Derek left in a rush this morning. This was under the sheets. What if it's a fake? I verified the results online. But who leaves a $10 million ticket? They stayed on the line, Lana recounting every detail. Derek spilled coffee, the ruined shirt, his frantic departure. Chitty's skepticism melted into excitement. You have to go to the office right now, Chitty urged, before someone else sees it. Lana glanced at the clock. 8:17 a.m. too early for the office, but she couldn't wait. She threw on jeans and a blouse, snagged her bag, and tucked the ticket into a plastic sleeve. She grabbed her keys and darted out. The lottery office was a block from her apartment. She arrived to find a line of sleepy patrons. She joined the tail, heart hammering. When her turn came, she stepped up to the counter, hands trembling. "Good morning," the clerk said, smiling. "How can I help you?" Lana forced calm. I think I have a winning ticket from yesterday's draw." The clerk raised an eyebrow. "Let's see it." She slid the ticket across the glass. He scanned it under a red light. The machine beeped, then flashed green. His eyes widened. "Congratulations," he said. "This ticket is worth $10 million. Lana's knees weakened. She gripped the counter. "Is this for real?" He tapped a few keys. "Your name?" "Lana Miles." He nodded. "Your ID, please." She fumbled for her driver's license. He leaned forward. "Don't worry. Let's get your claim started." Outside, Lana sank onto a bench. She hugged the plastic sleeve. Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I can't believe it," she whispered. $10 million. She thought of Derek. What was he planning? Why had he hidden it? And why had he never mentioned it? Her mind raced with questions and possibilities. She lifted her head, resolved. I'm not going to let him off easy. Her phone buzzed, a text from Derek. "Where are you?" "Meeting's in 10. Lana stared at it. A slow smile spread across her face. "I'm already ahead of you." Derek stepped out of the taxi into the sweltering midday heat. He wiped sweat from his brow and checked his phone. 12:04 p.m. The presentation to Vitrust Capital was at 12:30. He adjusted his tie, squared his shoulders, and strode toward the gleaming tower. Inside, the lobby's marble floors gleamed under fluorescent lights. He took the express elevator to the 24th floor. As the door slid open, a flurry of sharply dressed analysts and brokers greeted him. He gave nods and forced a smile, adrenaline propelling him forward. "Derek, glad you could make it," said Maya Lynn, the firm's senior partner. Her crisp suit and perfect posture intimidated him, but he returned the handshake firmly. "Thank you for fitting me in," he replied. She motioned to a conference room. "We're running behind. Feel free to grab coffee." He entered the anteroom. 3 attendants in gray vests arranged cups on a silver tray. He poured a mug, the strong aroma grounding him. In the corner, a small television flickered with the noon news he'd barely noticed before. As he sipped, the anchor's voice cut through the hum. Tonight's Mega Millions draw yielded a single ticket, matching all 6 numbers. The lucky winner from our city, identity withheld pending verification, stands to claim $10 million. Derek froze. His hand trembled, coffee sloshing. "That ticket," he muttered. He slid closer. The screen displayed the winning numbers: 07, 15, 22, 34, 41, 49. He blinked twice, heart thudding. They were the same as his. He slammed the mug down. The attendant jumped. "Sorry," Derek whispered, voice tight. He backed away, spilling a drop of coffee on the carpet. "I need fresh air." Maya poked her head in. "Ready?" He swallowed. "Yes. Let's begin." Inside the conference room, he launched into his pitch. Revenue projections, market shares, growth strategies. His mind flickered between charts and that ticker's numbers. He launched into details with rehearsed confidence. But every slide blurred. He registered nods, scribbles on notepads, and Maya's icy nod. At the close, Maya tapped her pen. "We appreciate your insights, Derek. We'll review and get back to you." He stood, voice hollow. "Thank you." He exited, heart pounding. Outside, He leaned against the glass wall overlooking the city. He scanned the streets below and clenched his fists. How, he whispered. His winnings, his plan, his new life, slipped from his fingertips. He'd purchased that ticket, memorized the numbers, but never checked. His oversight now loomed like a guillotine. He felt a cold swirl of panic and resolve. His phone buzzed, a message from Lana. Call me when you can. He stared at the screen. She'd discovered something. But what? He thumbed his tongue. He couldn't risk sharing what he'd learned. Not yet. He pocketed the phone and strode toward the street. The broadcast replayed in his mind. That bland anchor praising an anonymous winner. The winner he should have been. Instead, someone else had claimed his 10 million. He hailed another taxi. As the car pulled away, he glanced at the tower receding behind him. Sooner or later, he'd have to confront Lana and the ticket. But first, he needed a plan. He exhaled. Time to start over. Derek spent the evening pacing his cramped apartment. The skyline glittered through the living room window. He'd barely slept. His mind raced with the implications of the broadcast. Whoever claimed that ticket was now 10 million richer, and it wasn't him. He reviewed his options. Confront Lana, risk revealing he'd bought the ticket, or sneak into the lottery office and hack the claim. No, too risky. He needed a foolproof strategy, one that ensured he got his money, or at least enough cash to vanish. His phone dinged. A text from Chitty, his childhood friend in real estate. Got your numbers. House sale confirmed for tomorrow. Derek's throat tightened. He'd contacted Chitty that morning, pressing him to list their family home on the market at lightning speed. He'd told Lana the sale was urgent, investing opportunity. She'd agreed with only a hint of hesitation. Derek flicked through his wallet. Business cards, receipts, a crumpled lottery ticket he'd fished from his pocket days ago, still unchecked. He exhaled. That ticket was worthless now. But the house sale could buy him time. 10 million was gone. A few $100,000 from the sale might keep him afloat long enough to regroup. He dialed a number. Chitty, change the closing date. Push it back 2 days. No questions. Got it, Chitty replied. But why? Trust me. Derek snapped. Just do it. He hung up and leaned back against the wall. His gaze drifted to a framed wedding photo on the shelf. He and Lana, smiling beneath a floral arch. Regret washed over him. He designed this entire plan without her knowledge. Confessing now would destroy her trust and his chance at redemption. He crossed to his desk and flipped open his laptop. On the desktop, documents detailing offshore accounts, fake identities, a blueprint for his disappearance. He'd spent months preparing. The 10 million jackpot had merely accelerated his timeline. Now that dream was gone, he'd rely on Plan B. Liquidate the house, withdraw the funds, and flee under an alias he'd secured in Belize. His heart pounded. He pictured Lana's face when she realized he'd lied about everything. The ticket, the destination, even his reasons for leaving. Anger, betrayal. She'd fire questions he couldn't answer. But it had to happen. He clicked through the identity papers. A Belize passport in the name of Gregorio Alvarez. The pilot's license, the offshore bank statements, all legit-looking fabrications. He perfected every detail. He glanced at the clock. 11:47 p.m. Too late to send the sale documents. He draped himself over the desk, rubbing tired eyes. Tomorrow, he'd finalize the sale, collect the proceeds, and vanish. He stood and poured a glass of scotch. He swirled the amber liquid, watching it catch the light. Here's to Plan B, he murmured. He drank, the burn steadying his resolve. He replaced the glass and exhaled. I never shared this with her, he thought. But soon, none of this would matter. He'd be gone, and she'd be left with nothing, just as he'd planned. At dawn, Derek drove to the lawyer's office. The sun cast a pale glow over the city. He parked in the valet lane and strode inside, adjusting his tie. The sale had been set up under a shell company, Emerald Holdings LLC. No trace of the Miles name. Perfect. Mr. Alvarez? The paralegal greeted him. He nodded. I'm here to sign the closing documents. She handed him a stack of papers. Emerald Holdings will transfer the property to the buyer, cash only. No inspections, no contingencies. Wire to offshore account on receipt. He scanned quickly, then signed every line with a steady hand. His signature: smooth curves, confident loops, Gregorio Alvarez. "Congratulations on the sale," she said, handing him a sealed envelope. "Wire confirmation should arrive by noon." He took the envelope. "Thank you." His throat tightened. He exited into the lobby, envelope clutched like a lifeline. The doorman tipped his cap. Derek offered a curt nod. Outside, the city already hummed with traffic. He waited at a crosswalk, thumb drumming on the envelope. He pictured Lana discovering the sale, her confusion morphing into panic. He told her it was an investment flip. His voice echoed, urgent opportunity. She trusted him. His phone vibrated. A text from Maya Lin. "Let's reschedule the pitch. Out of office today. Best of luck." He let out a short laugh. His career was collateral damage now. A taxi horn blared. He hopped in, handed the envelope to the driver. "Take me to Belize consulate." The driver eyed him. "Early flight." In a matter of speaking. As the car pulled away, Derek opened the envelope. Inside, a confirmation slip, an 8-figure sum waiting in a shell account. It wasn't 10 million, but it was enough. He exhaled, relief flooding him. He glanced at the receipt. $1,200,000 US. It would cover passage, new identity, starting complete. He tucked it into his wallet. He pressed a button on his phone. A recorded message played. "Lana, your presence is requested at home immediately. Urgent matter. Derek." He tapped off before she could respond. Tomorrow, she'd wake to an empty apartment and a notice of sale. He folded the tax receipt, slid it under the hotel door tonight. He stared out the window at the city shrinking behind him. His plan was unfolding. All he needed now was to disappear and never look back. Derek slung his duffel across the bed and surveyed the dimly lit room as dawn's glow crept through the curtains. He set aside last night's scotch glass and laid out essentials: 2 crisp white shirts, charcoal slacks, underwear, socks. Each garment he folded precisely, as if sequencing the final moves of a chess game. He added the forged Belize passport stamped Gregorio Alvarez, a single plane ticket, and a bundle of bank statements. One duffel, one alias, no loose ends. In the heavy silence, his thoughts flickered to Lana, her final text demanding his call. He pictured her discovering the house sale, feeling her world crumble. A twinge of guilt knotted in his chest, but adrenaline shrugged it off. He had contingencies for every scenario: shell accounts, backup IDs, hidden burner phones. Still, a trace of doubt lingered. Could she track him down? He ran through the moments leading up to this morning. Derek standing in the living room, coffee-stained shirt, Lana's worried expression. He had lied to her face, spun stories of urgent investments and promising flips. Each lie felt like a shovel turning in the grave of their marriage. He remembered the tears in her eyes when he said he needed space, her voice cracking as she begged him to stay. He zipped the main compartment and patted its side pocket. No charger. His phone, the only link to Chitty and the wired sale proceeds, would die. Panic spiked. "No cable," he hissed, yanking open the desk drawer. He disturbed a stale concierge pamphlet and rifled through receipts and scribbled notes. Nothing but a stray paperclip and a broken pen. He envisioned his screen flickering to black mid-call, the boarding gate's closing time passing unnoticed. He even pictured the consulate clerk's face, refusing entry to a powerless man with a dead phone. Scrambling, he rifled under the mattress and between sofa cushions, hands sweaty. Then his gaze landed on a bulky manila folder tucked under a stack of invoices on the floor. He swooped down, spilling papers across the carpet, and found the charger coiled neatly beneath a printout of customer complaints. Relief crashed over him, warm and sudden. He jammed the cable into the duffel's outer pocket alongside a refurbished smartphone he planned to abandon upon landing in Belize. Stability returned in measured breaths as the bag's weight settled comfortably on his shoulder. Next came the small items: a jet black burner phone, wiped clean and zeroed, a wad of crisp $100 bills, an emergency credit card magnetized against detection. He tucked each artifact of escape into separate compartments. The burner phone in a hidden lining, cash beneath reinforced seams, the credit card wedged into his sock drawer. With each placement, he felt the dual sting of control and dread, as if burying evidence in his own coffin. He lifted the duffel, spun toward the door, and paused. In the cracked mirror opposite, he studied his reflection. Tired eyes rimmed red, jaw set firm, shoulders squared. This was the face of a man who had traded love for freedom, hope for security. He whispered, "Time to go," and stepped into the hallway. His chest tightened at the corridor's sterile calm. He jerked his head as the elevator door slid open with a metallic sigh. A portal to anonymity, or perhaps to a new kind of prison. With a final exhale, he clicked the lock, slipped the key from the doorknob, and pressed the elevator button. Each echoing footstep marked the distance from his old life. Derek stepped off the elevator and into the lobby, his duffel slung casually over one shoulder. The front desk clerk looked up, surprised to see a guest at such an hour. Derek offered a polite nod and handed over his room key, requesting a taxi. In his mind, every motion felt mechanical, rehearsed. He had to leave no footprint, no memory, just one alias and a single bag. As he waited for the cab, he slid a crisp white envelope from his jacket pocket, its contents minimal yet lethal. A hastily scrawled note reading, "Lana, don't look for me. I need space for now. D." He tucked the note into the hotel safe's deposit box, along with the key to their apartment. He knew it would be found, but only after he was long gone. The taxi arrived with a hiss of brakes. He slid in the back seat, offering the driver a single address, the international terminal. His hand gripped the envelope against his leg, as if imparting its weight to his grip rather than his conscience. His pulse fluttered every time he imagined Lana stumbling upon that note, her heart cracking. The taxi's engine hummed through empty streets as the city slept beneath a haze of streetlights. Derek glanced at his phone. 26% battery. Plenty of juice for the call to Chitty after takeoff, but no more. He watched skyscrapers blur past and closed his eyes, surrendering to the hum. Each mile brought him further from home and closer to the unknown. He inhaled the stale scent of upholstery and exhaled the final vestiges of his old existence. He stared at the seatbelt, twisting it between his fingers as the cityscape dissolved into highways. At dawn, Lana awoke to silence. The bed beside her was cold, the sheets rumpled but empty. She blinked against the early light and reached for Derek, or what she thought would be soft warmth. Instead, her fingers brushed fabric. She sat up and saw the note on the pillow, an envelope sealed with his handwriting. With trembling hands, she slid it open, eyes blurring as she read, "Don't look for me. I need space." Her breath caught, chest tightening. His signature, a single letter, D. She bolted upright, heart pounding as if it would burst from her throat. She threw back the covers and leaped from the bed, flinging open their bedroom door. Clothes she'd laid out for work lay scattered. His suits were gone. Panic flared in her veins as she raced through the apartment, through the living room, kitchen, and down the hallway. Each empty room echoed his absence. On the dining table, she found a set of documents stamped by a law office. Her name was listed as a former owner of their marital home, the sale price bold and final. She stared at the figures, a cash-only transaction to an anonymous buyer. "What did you do?" she whispered. Tears pricked her eyes, anger burning like acid. He hadn't even had the decency to tell her he was selling their home. She snatched her phone from the counter and tapped Chitty's number. Before he even answered, she barked, "Chitty, you sold the house? Where is he?" His sleepy voice stumbled. I. Derek asked me to do it urgently. Closing was this morning." She slammed the phone down and dialed the lawyer's direct line, demanding every detail. Her voice shook with controlled fury as she recounted the betrayal, the lottery ticket, the house, the note. Her fists clenched at her sides, nails whitening. "No goodbye, no trace," she breathed. "We'll see about that." She grabbed her coat and hustled to the elevator. The corridor was eerily quiet. With each step, adrenaline sharpened her senses. He thought he could run from her. He thought he could vanish. But she had both the winning ticket and the will to hunt him down. As the elevator door slid shut, Lana vowed, by nightfall, she would have answers. She felt the surge of defiance ignite in her veins, a promise to reclaim every wrong he'd done. That evening, Lana stood before the imposing black door of her former home, keys dangling in her hand like unanswered questions. She had waited for the locksmith, Chitty's cousin, a wiry man named Obi, to arrive within the hour. Now, as golden streetlights flickered on, she felt a flicker of apprehension. Inside those walls lay his final testament, the truth he tried to bury along with his promises. She slid the key into the lock. It turned, but the door remained resolutely shut. Obi arrived a minute later, toolbox in hand, and a confident grin on his face. "Should have brought the right key," Obi said, nudging the door open with a crowbar. It swung inwards with a low creak. Lana forced a steady breath and stepped across the threshold. The apartment was immaculate, as if prepared to welcome a guest he never intended to see again. The polished hardwood floor gleamed beneath overhead lights. In the living room, her favorite armchair sat empty, its cushions still warm. She moved through the space, stomach knotting with every echo of bare floors and unfurnished shelves. He had stripped the place of everything he owned. She ascended the stairs to the bedroom, footsteps swallowed by pain. There, moonlight spilled through the blinds onto the unmade bed. White sheets lay tangled, corners flung back, as if someone had leapt free. No laundry basket in sight, no uniform hanging on the rack. Only the mattress, raised on its frame, vulnerable. Lana approached and ran a hand along the silky edge, recalling how Derek had once teased her about the perfect fold. Now his absence manifested in every rumple. Dropping to her knees, she swept a trembling hand under the mattress skirt. Her fingers brushed metal, a small brass key, its surface etched with the number 24. She plucked it free, heart hammering. A key to what? A safe hidden deep in his plan, or another lock on his secrets. Obi's soft voice startled her. "You find anything?" she whispered, holding the key aloft. "His final clue," she said, eyes blazing. "He thought he could outrun me." They descended in silence. In the hallway, she paused outside the bathroom, flashes of their life together swirling in her mind. Shared laughter in the mirror's reflection, steam from morning showers, whispers exchanged before dawn. He had erased every sign of him, except this key. She pocketed it alongside her phone and the hotel envelope he had left. Outside, the air held the crisp promise of rain. Lana slipped the key into her coat pocket and brushed past Obi. "I know where he's headed," she said, voice steady. "Let's go." The bed he hadn't bothered to make had given her purpose, and now she would wield it like a weapon. Lana's heels clicked against polished marble as she strode into Robinson and Price, the upscale law firm handling her case. Morning sunlight filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the grand reception area where a brass plaque read, "Property Law Division." Clutching the brass key and her lottery claim confirmation, she paused before a mahogany desk. A neatly dressed receptionist looked up. "Ms. Miles, Mr. Robinson will see you now." Anxiety and resolve warred in her chest as she followed a silent elevator to the 20th floor. Across from an expansive office, James Robinson, a senior partner with salt and pepper hair, sat behind a sprawling desk. He tapped pens into an inkwell as Lana entered. He gestured to an adjacent chair. "Lana, good to see you. I've reviewed the sale documents. Emerald Holdings LLC. Finalized this morning. Standard procedure, cash sale, no contingencies. Once the deed transfers, property rights are irrevocable." He leaned back. "Regrettably, you have few options to contest a completed cash sale in a state without a statutory cooling-off period." Lana set the lottery claim confirmation and brass key on the desk. "I know the legal maze," she said, voice steady. "But I hold the winning ticket, $10 million. That sale required my consent under our marital agreement. I did not authorize it." Robinson's eyebrow arched. "Your winnings and your property rights operate in separate domains," he cautioned. He adjusted his spectacles. "But if the proceeds are traceable, we could argue undue enrichment." She produced a printed bank statement, showing the wire transfer into the LLC's account. Robinson leaned forward, interest piqued. "This is new." He ran his finger along the highlighted transaction. "If we prove those funds came from misappropriated marital assets, We can petition the court to freeze that account. He tapped the brass key. What is this unlock? Lana explained how she retrieved the safe deposit key from her apartment. Inside are passports, emergency docs, and communication logs proving he coordinated the sale without my knowledge. Robinson exhaled. If he left that behind, he underestimated you. We'll file an emergency injunction to freeze the account pending litigation. He drafted a motion on his laptop and printed it. Hearing this afternoon at 4 p.m. Be prepared for rapid escalation. As she stood, adrenaline flooded her veins. She tucked documents and key into her coat pocket. Thank you, she said, voice firm. I'll be there. Exiting the office, she felt the shock of the sale transform into her greatest advantage. The law was on her side, and tonight, she would leverage it to bring Derek back under her control. Lana emerged from the courthouse, just past 4:15 p.m., clutching the stamped injunction that would freeze Emerald Holdings' proceeds. The downtown streets pulsed with rush-hour traffic. She hailed a taxi and directed it to Global Air's headquarters, the airline Derek had booked as Gregorio Alvarez. Traffic snarled, but she sat back, mapping out her next steps. The brass key burned against her side as a reminder of how close she was to unraveling his escape. At Global Air's gleaming glass facade, Lana flashed her court order and the ticket confirmation email to the receptionist. Ms. Miles? Flight info is confidential, the agent began. Lana placed her legal documents, a business card, and the court order on the counter in one deliberate motion. I'm here under court order. I need his flight details, departure time, gate, seat assignment. The receptionist's eyes flicked to the injunction. One moment. Moments later, Lana was escorted to a secure office. A senior operations manager scanned her files and produced a printout. Mr. Alvarez is booked on Flight 467 to Belize City, departing 8:50 p.m. Gate 14. Check baggage, 120 kilograms duffel. Lana noted the flight status. On schedule. She thanked him and hurried outside into the humid twilight. The airport's grand terminal loomed as she arrived by taxi at 7 p.m. Her heart pounded with each step toward security. She presented the court order to officers, who granted her expedited access. One whispered, "Be careful, people jump at airplanes." She nodded, clutching her purse. Each footstep through the metal detector heightened her sense of purpose. By Gate 14, a cafe hummed with passengers. The LED board blinked. Flight 467, on time, boarding 8:30. She cradled a coffee, waiting. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, she spotted a familiar figure dragging a duffel bag toward the gate. Her breath caught. It was Derek, taller, more confident, in the same charcoal slacks she'd watched him fold hours ago. He paused, checking his boarding pass, unaware she'd found him at last. She set down her cup and stepped forward. Each stride echoed in the cavernous terminal. He looked up, surprise flooding his face. "Lana," he stammered. She held up the brass key and the frozen funds injunction. "You forgot these," she said quietly. His gaze flicked between the key, the court order, and her steady eyes. Security officers closed in. He swallowed. Words failed him. She smiled, triumph tempered by sorrow. "You left a trail I followed step by step," she whispered. "Get on that plane," she added, voice steel, "or I'll have them escort you." As the final boarding call rang out, Derek's shoulders slumped. The chase had ended. The reckoning had just begun. Lana stepped into the polished marble lobby of Solace National Bank, her heels clicking a measured rhythm. Morning light spilled through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the quiet grandeur. She carried a thick file, the original lottery ticket, her notarized claim documents, and the injunction freezing Emerald Holdings sale proceeds. At the reception desk, she offered a steady smile. "Good morning. I'm here to finalize my claim and transfer the winnings into a new trust account," she said, passing the file across the counter. The young teller, her name badge read Miriam, scanned the paperwork. Her eyes widened. "Congratulations on your win, Ms. Miles. We'll need you to verify photo ID and complete these forms." Lana nodded, sliding her driver's license across. "Thank you." I'd also like to discuss immediate fund access and asset protection. Miriam led her to a private alcove behind frosted glass. A senior banker, Mr. Tudor, joined them, adjusting his silver-rimmed glasses as he reviewed the documents. His expression shifted from curiosity to respect. Ms. Miles, your claim is fully validated. The $10 million award will clear into our trust account by end of day. Per your injunction, Emerald Holdings proceeds are frozen pending further order. Lana exhaled. Excellent. I want the funds distributed into a jackpot trust under my name. No joint claims, no liens. And I need a directive file to monitor any disbursements Derek Miles attempts to initiate. Tudor nodded, typing swiftly. We'll establish the Miles Freedom Trust. You'll be its sole beneficiary and trustee. Any disbursement request in your absence requires dual signatory approval, and we'll put a hold on any outgoing transactions flagged from his known accounts. He paused, looking up. Is there anything else? She considered. Issue me a set of secure banking tokens and generate one virtual debit card for emergencies. Also, I want digital alerts anytime someone attempts to access or modify the trust. He tapped more keys. All set. You'll receive your banking tokens by courier this afternoon. Virtual card arrives in your encrypted email. And we've set simultaneous SMS and email alerts for any access attempts. Lana allowed herself a small, triumphant smile. Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Tudor. She gathered her new trust paperwork. As she stood, Tudor powdered his hands with a moist cloth. Ms. Miles, if I may offer advice, you've handled this with remarkable acuity. Most clients in your position feel overwhelmed. She tucked her hair behind her ear. I appreciate that. I learned long ago never to hand someone power when they've proven untrustworthy. He inclined his head. Wise. He escorted her back to the lobby. Before she left, she paused and placed a final instruction. Please forward any correspondence from Derek Miles directly to my legal counsel. Miriam printed a confirmation slip. Done. Your trust is secured. Lana exited into the bright afternoon, her wallet heavy with possibility and her heart light with purpose. She tapped the brass key in her purse, the key to Derek's safe deposit box, and felt the first real surge of control since she discovered the ticket. As she stepped onto the sidewalk, she raised her chin. 2 days later, Lana stood in the lobby of the Ocean View Coastal Hotel, just a half-mile from a city airport. The coastal breeze carried a tang of salt. She wore dark sunglasses and a tailored trench coat, her expression polite but resolute. The front desk clerk, a middle-aged woman with neat braids, greeted her. Good afternoon, ma'am. Checking in. Lana inclined her head. Actually, I'm following up on a guest who checked out early this morning. Name was Gregorio Alvarez. Room 317. The clerk's eyes flicked to her screen. Room 317, yes, Mr. Alvarez. Checked out at 6:12 a.m. Paid cash. No incident. She glanced up. Can I help you with something? Lana's lips curved in a composed smile. I need to know who signed the checkout register. A name, a signature, anything. The clerk paused, glancing around as though unsure how much she could divulge. I'm sorry, ma'am, but our policy. Lana gently placed a printed copy of the court injunction on the counter. I'm legally empowered to obtain that information. This man is evading legal process, and I have a right to know his whereabouts. The clerk's brow furrowed. She rifled in a drawer and produced the checkout slip. Here, she whispered, passing it over. In elegant cursive was G. Alvarez. Below, a scrawled telephone no. +505 3241 7788. Lana scanned it. He'd given a burner number. The clerk hesitated. Between us, he asked for a quiet exit. Said he needed to disappear for a while. Lana nodded receptively. Thank you. That helps. She hesitated. May I ask, was he traveling alone? Any luggage beyond what was documented? The clerk's eyes widened. His duffel looked heavy, but no extra bags. He paid the baggage fee in cash. Lana slid a business card across. If you recall anything else, cab details, taxi license, please call me. The clerk tucked the card into her apron pocket. Of course, Miss. Miles, Lana supplied. The clerk murmured, I'll let you know if something comes up. Lana thanked her and exited into the sunlight. In the hotel courtyard, she slipped the checkout slip into her purse. The telephone number would be vital for a traced call. With that, she hailed a cab to her next appointment, an anonymous call to be placed under a false identity. But first, she allowed herself a moment to appreciate the swift turn of events. The clerk had known too much, and now, so did she. Later that afternoon, Lana sat in a rented office near the harbor, disguised by sunglasses and a soft scarf. On the desk lay the checkout slip with Alvarez's burner number. She dialed. The line rang twice. Then a gruff male voice answered. Hello. Hi, this is Jenny Wallace from Granada Gazette. I'm investigating an exclusive on a foreign investor, Gregorio Alvarez, who apparently credits our local beach resorts for his turnaround. I'd like to fact-check some details. Her voice was hushed but authoritative. There was a pause, then a cautious, Well, what do you need? Could you confirm which suite he stayed in, and whether he mentioned travel plans or contacts here? It's for tomorrow's front-page story. Suite 317, the voice replied. He had a meeting scheduled with some offshore representatives. That was all. Any mention of where he's heading next? Or a forwarding address? Another pause. He said something about flying to San Pedro del Norte, wasn't clear, and called someone named Maria. Gave her this number. He repeated Alvarez's burner number. Perfect, that's very helpful. Appreciate your discretion. This could be big. Lana ended the call and sat back. She confirmed his route, San Pedro del Norte. That meant a final domestic flight before Belize. Next, she'd enlist her travel lawyer to issue subpoenas for Maria's identity. But first, she needed to get ahead of him. She tapped out a quick text to Chitty. Book me a flight to San Pedro, ASP. We'll explain later. Within minutes, confirmation pinged back. She stood, smoothing her coat. Before leaving, she glanced at her reflection in the window, clear-eyed, resolute. As Jenny, she'd unearthed the thread she needed. Now she would pull it taut, drawing Derek back into her sights. Thousands of feet above the Caribbean, Derek leaned back in his first-class seat, reading the in-flight menu as if savoring the final luxury he'd allow himself. The plane's hum was a lullaby. He'd boarded under alias Gregorio Alvarez. Security had waved him through after a terse glance at his forged passport. He'd settled into the Rear Lounge Hotel in Belize City, where infinity pool cocktails and staff obeisance made him feel untouchable. At the resort's bar, he sipped a pale ale adorned with a lime wedge. He scanned the postcard blue water beyond the glass railing. I made it, he murmured to himself. His phone buzzed with a single text. Enjoy your stay. JP. It was from Jorge Perez, his local fixer, handling visas and shell companies. Funds release on H-hour. The note had read. Derek smiled, drained his glass, and signaled the bartender for another. Later, by the pool at sunset, he lounged on a wicker daybed. A server placed a tray of ceviche and coconut shrimp beside him. He absently scrolled through hotel concierge messages. Welcome, Mr. Alvarez. Please enjoy your private cabana. He thumbed a reply. Thanks. Everything is perfect. Around 7 p.m., tiki torches flickered alive. Tropical birds chattered in the palms. Derek closed his eyes, letting the island's warmth seep into his bones. He could almost taste the freedom. No emails, no calls, no Lana Miles. Only sun, sand, and the promise of a fresh start. Unbeknownst to him, across the globe, Lana was finalizing her travel plans to intercept him. But here in Belize, the world felt safe and distant. He drifted off, lulled by the waves against the shore. That night, after ordering room service and reviewing the resort's brochure, Derek retrieved his encrypted burner phone. With deliberate care, he navigated to the offshore banking app, his last tether to liquidity. He typed his secure passcode and waited. The screen loaded, then refreshed. His breath caught. Balance, $0. He blinked, replaying the numbers. 0. He tapped the app again. Still nothing. His heart thundered. He scrolled through recent transactions. Only one entry. Miles Freedom Trust withdrawal, $10 million. The timestamp, 5:03 p.m. Belize time. Exactly when he had been cocktail-bound at the bar. Panic hit his chest like a physical blow. He tried calling JP. No signal. Then he remembered his bank-locked emails. He opened the secure mail app. An unread message. Funds transferred and account closed. Goodbye. LM. Derek's hand shook. The last vestige of his plan, his ticket, his cash, was gone. He stared at the black screen. His dreams of reinvention were extinguished in one irrevocable sweep. He opened the hotel safe and yanked out the duffel bag, dumping its contents. Shirts, forged passports, credit cards. They lay scattered on the carpet, like the remnants of a life he no longer owned. He sank onto the edge of the bed and buried his face in his hands. Outside, the warm Belizean breeze swept through the balcony doors. Somewhere beyond that window, a woman named Lana was pulling the final lever on his fate. He had chased freedom, but she had owned it all along. His new identity dissolved in that app's dead balance, leaving nothing but an empty shell and a single truth. He'd underestimated her. In the hush of the tropical night, Derek Miles closed his eyes, broker than he'd ever been, and utterly alone. Derek's fist slammed against the mahogany desk in his sparsely furnished suite at the Grand Belize City Hotel. He had just left Barclays, his designated offshore custodian, after storming through security only to be handed a curt statement. Your accounts are frozen pending review. The banker, a well-coiffed man, slid a court order across the counter. Derek blinked at the stamped injunction bearing Lana's name. Miles Freedom Trust versus Emerald Holdings LLC. Frustration curdled into rage as Derek dialed Jorge J.P. Perez, his local fixer. The line clicked twice before J.P. answered, voice groggy. D, what's up? Derek's tone was brittle. They froze the accounts. All of them. He paced, cell phone pressed to his ear. J.P. sighed. I filed all the withdrawal paperwork. I promised you'd get access post-arrival. Uncertainty crept into J.P.'s voice. Something went to court. Derek's chest tightened. Who? When? How? He ran through the timeline. He'd wired the proceeds from Emerald Holdings into the Belize Shell Company this morning. He'd authorized transfers for investment and living expenses. How could this be frozen already? J.P. rattled off legal jargon. Fraud alert. Clawback petition. Emergency injunction. Derek felt the ground shift beneath him. His currency was worthless paper. He slammed the phone shut, glancing at the passports, clothes, and duffel in the corner. The images blurred as panic blurred his vision. He stumbled to the bathroom, flicked on the faucet, and stared at his reflection. The man staring back wore defeated eyes. He flicked the light switch. The room plunged into darkness. Across the ocean, in a high-rise corner office overlooking the city, Lana reviewed her bank's compliance report on the frozen accounts. She sipped chamomile tea, expression composed. Gentlemen, she told her counsel and banker, ensure any attempt at clawback is met with countersuit. I want full garnishment of Derek Miles' assets as they emerge. Her voice was calm steel. They nodded, awed by her precision. Back in Belize, Derek barged into the consulate, waving his forged passport. Security escorted him inside. He demanded to cancel the passport, convinced if he could invalidate his alias, the freeze might lift. The consul, however, politely informed him that only the court could dissolve the freeze. Derek's pleas fell on bureaucratic ears. The consulate's staff regarded him with sympathetic distance. Dejected, he returned to his suite. The tropical night pressed against the windows. Cicadas chirped in the garden below. He sank onto the edge of the unmade bed, head in hands. This wasn't just about money. It was proof that Lana had outsmarted him every step of the way. He had crafted a master plan, but she had seized the board and moved first. He thought of the photo in the news, her face radiant with triumph, her voice on that viral podcast. Every publicity hit ricocheted inside his mind. They had seen him as the antagonist in her story. He was the villain in the headlines. He closed his eyes, lungs burning with defeat. Tomorrow, he vowed to marshal resources, hire a local attorney, rally investigators to mount a counteroffensive, but he would endure the cold weight of defeat. The next morning, Derek awoke to a blaring ringtone. He fumbled for his phone and stared at the screen. Breaking. Mystery woman claims $10 million jackpot. His heart pounded as he tapped the news link. On his cramped hotel TV, the anchor introduced footage of Lana, silhouette backlit on a rooftop helipad. The headline scrolled, "The woman who took his ticket, meet Lana Miles." The broadcast cut to a high-resolution photo, Lana, radiant in a tailored pantsuit, sunglasses perched on her head, holding the crumpled lottery ticket aloft. Behind her, flashing cameras and reporters clamored for a statement. Her lips parted in measured calm. "I found what he left behind. It's mine now." Her voice was poised, coldly triumphant. Derek pressed pause, his knuckles whitening around the remote. Every frame etched her victory into his mind. She had taken center stage, rewritten their story before he even knew what had happened. The anchor's voice droned. Details remain scarce, but legal experts believe this represents an unprecedented reversal. "We'll bring you updates as they unfold." He threw the remote across the room. It clattered against the wall with a hollow thunk. He stumbled to the window and pressed his forehead against the cool glass. Below, the city hummed with morning traffic, untouched by his personal collapse. He felt an acute loneliness. She was already a public sensation, while he was an invisible stain on the global news cycle. Back in Lagos, Lana reviewed the international coverage on her laptop. Headlines from AP, Reuters, and local tabloids churned across the screen. Lotto Queen. Wife's ticket of torment. Karma demands ITS due. She sipped her green tea, smiling. The world had accepted her as the rightful owner, and villain and hero in one. She forwarded the clips to her publicist with one note. "Burn the narrative. I own this." In Belize, Derek scrolled through the same articles, each image tightening the vice on his chest. One article featured an interview with a legal analyst speculating on Lana's next moves, asset protection, philanthropy, even politics. Another ran a side-by-side comparison of Lana's poised confidence and Derek's fumbled responses. He tapped the screen, as if he could erase the pixels with his fingertips. He shut his laptop, flinging it onto the bed. Memories of their wedding day flickered behind his eyelids. The way she laughed when he tossed petals, her eyes bright with hope. He gripped the windowsill so hard his fingers ached. In the reflection, he saw a tired, defeated man staring back. He closed his eyes and whispered, "You wanted all the spotlight, Lana. Enjoy it." By noon, international agencies had picked up the story and threaded it through social media. Memes of Derek clutching an empty wallet and Lana holding the ticket went viral. He watched one loop that superimposed his face on a blank canvas beside a trophy labeled Karma's MVP. He hurled the phone across the room, shattering the screen. Alone in the dim suite, the world outside celebrated her victory. And he, the architect of his own downfall, was left to lick his wounds in obscurity. Hot tears blurred Derek's vision as he dialed Lana's number again. Each ring brought a sliver of hope, until the cold, unyielding click of a disconnected line. "The number you have dialed is not in service." He pounded the bedside table, disbelief giving way to rage and despair. He tried her office, her publicist, even Chitty's home line. Each attempt met the same hollow barrier, blocked or disconnected. He realized with sick clarity that she had anticipated this move and severed every direct line between them. He could not reach her. She had vanished into her fortress of triumph. In a desperate bid, Derek scrawled an email, subject line Lana, "Please talk to me." Pouring out a raw confession, regret, apology, promises of restitution. He inserted a single image, their wedding photo, edges worn, smiles bright. He hit send and waited. Nothing. No read receipt. No reply. Just a timestamp mocking him. Sent. 12:45 p.m. He reopened the Madden Legal Associates chat window, demanding to set up a call with her lawyer. He typed, "I want to discuss settlement." Then hesitated, fingers hovering. He hit send. The chat app bounced back. Recipient not available. He leaned back, head spinning. He rifled through the drawer and found the brass key to his old safe deposit box, the only tangible link to his past. He held it like a lifeline, but even this relic seemed remote now, his access revoked by legal decree. She held the power. He held only shadows. As dusk settled, he made one final attempt. A message to Laura, the hotel clerk in Belize, a woman who had slipped him courtesy behind the desk. Ask Ms. Miles to call me. He cringed at the weakness of it. Yet something compelled him. He needed closure, or at least a crack in her armor. No reply came. He watched the sun dip beneath the horizon, painting the ocean blood red. He whispered to the empty room, "Why won't you just answer me?" The silence pressed in, absolute. In that quiet wreckage, Derek confronted his greatest truth. He was alone, cut off from the woman whose life he had upended, and who now commanded every narrative. He realized with finality that she had drawn a line he could not cross. By sunrise, Lana had already begun the next phase. In an immaculately lit office, she signed a stack of documents, a deed poll, corporate filings, trust amendments. The name El Monroe replaced Lana Miles on every line. She leaned back, letting the weight of the new identity settle over her like armor. Her attorney, an elegant woman named Mrs. Okoye, handed her a pen. Effective immediately, you are El Monroe. All past records will be archived under a former identities protocol. Your public profile, charitable foundation, and business holdings will reflect the new name. Lana Nowell smiled. Perfect. She imagined the headlines. El Monroe, from betrayed wife to power broker. Already her consulting firm, Monroe Ventures, buzzed with inbound inquiries for partnerships, speaking engagements, and philanthropic ventures. Later that day, at Monroe Ventures HQ, Elle addressed her senior team in a glass-wall boardroom overlooking the city. Effective today, our flagship fund is the Monroe Growth Trust. We'll widen our portfolio. Real estate in Nairobi, renewable energy in Accra, technology startups in Kigali. We have the capital, the brand, and the vision. Let's show the world what true leadership looks like. Her executives applauded, enraptured by her confidence. She noted their excitement and mentally ticked off the milestones. Legal name change filed, bank accounts rebranded, social media handles secured. She would remain both an enigma and an inspiration, the woman who turned betrayal into empire. Meanwhile, a journalist friend from her lottery claim days pinged. "Elle, congratulations. Can we schedule a feature?" She replied, "Let's aim for next week. I want to control the narrative." That evening, Elle sat on her terrace, the city lights twinkling below. She sipped sparkling water and surveyed the horizon. Derek Miles, even if he resurfaced, would find a woman completely reborn. Her old life was archived. Her new identity was unassailable. She tapped her phone and set a reminder. Podcasts. Record 7/18. A smile curved her lips. El Monroe had arrived. 2 days later, Elle settled into the soundproof booth of Viral Voices, one of the world's top storytelling podcasts. Host Marcus Adebayo greeted her through the glass. "Elle, welcome. Your story has captivated millions. Let's dive in." She nodded into the microphone, voice steady. "Thank you, Marcus. I'm here to share what really happened when my husband left me with nothing, and how I turned that moment into everything." The red recording light glowed. Marcus began. "You found a lottery ticket on your unmade bed, worth $10 million. Your husband never told you about it. How did you feel?" Elle paused, then spoke with measured calm. "Shock, disbelief, anger, but also clarity. I realized this was more than money. It was a chance to rewrite my life on my terms." Marcus leaned in. "Tell us about your plan." She outlined every step: discovering the ticket, legally claiming it, freezing sale proceeds, changing her name, and launching Monroe Ventures. She spoke candidly about betrayal and empowerment. Her tone was candid yet poised. Every word resonated. Behind the glass, the production team exchanged impressed glances. Marcus asked the hard questions. "Did you ever consider forgiveness?" Elle's eyes flickered. "Forgiveness is for those who still invest in the past. I chose to invest in my future." The interview wrapped with Marcus probing. "What's next for El Monroe?" She smiled. "Expanding the Monroe Foundation to support women entrepreneurs across Africa. I've turned a personal setback into a platform for thousands." They ended the recording. As she left the booth, producers hustled to share the clip. Within minutes, social media lit up. Hashtag El Monroe. Hashtag Lottery Queen. Hashtag Karmachamp. The episode trended worldwide. Back in her car, Elle watched the real-time analytics spike. 2 million streams in the first hour, celebrity retweets, news outlets dissecting every quote. She exhaled, satisfaction coursing through her veins. Meanwhile, halfway across the globe, Derek Miles, broke, blocked, and bewildered, scanned headlines on a public computer. He saw a thumbnail of Elle on the podcast cover. Radiant, powerful, unbreakable. He closed the browser, chest tight with regret. Elle Monroe had one final message for him, whispered into the microphone and broadcast to millions. You left the ticket, not just me. Now, you're the one who has nothing. And with that, her story and his became immortal. Derek sat huddled in the corner of the dingy hostel common room, every nerve raw. A single fluorescent bulb buzzed overhead. He'd scrounged enough coins for the bare minimum Wi-Fi package. He needed a clue, anything. With a trembling hand, he unlocked his battered smartphone and opened Chatterbox. The feed erupted in mocking laughter. There it was, his face, captured in grainy security camera stills at the airport. He clutched his duffel, eyes hollow. An unwitting poster child for failure. Overlaid text in jagged white letters read. He left with his dreams and ended up with regrets. He scrolled. Another meme paired that same image with a photo of him lounging by a Belize pool in sunglasses, cocktail in hand. The caption sneered, "Billionaire wannabe goes broke before boarding." Panic rose in Derek's throat. He tapped share reflexively, then caught himself, fingers hovering, before accidentally brushing like. He froze. He had just underscored his own humiliation. Tears blurred his vision. He shut off the screen and pressed it to his chest, as if the cold glass could stave off despair. He rocked forward, heartbeat pounding in his ears. The cheap mattress at his back felt like a slab of concrete bearing down on him. A soft voice snapped him back. "Hey man, you okay?" It was Rafi, a fellow guest with kind eyes. He held out a stale pastry. "Don't let them get to you." Derek blinked away tears. He accepted the pastry, crumbs tumbling to the floor. "They don't know the half of it," he croaked. "She turned my life into her headline." Rafi shrugged gently. "Stories need villains and heroes. You played your part, but you can choose your next chapter." Derek swallowed. "What choice do I have?" "Go home," Rafi said simply. "Face her. Face the fallout. No tweets, no memes, just you and her." He stared at the pastry, its stale taste echoing in his mouth. For months, he'd run, hiding behind false identities and offshore accounts. Always one step ahead, until Lana pulled the rug from beneath him. The meme stung, but Rafi's words burned through. Maybe it was time to stop hiding. He logged into email and found Chitty's message. "Flight home at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Everything's set." Derek's chest tightened. The shirt soaked in coffee and the crumpled lottery ticket now seemed like relics of another life. Tomorrow he'd board a plane, not as Gregorio Alvarez, but as Derek Miles, the man she knew. He rose, suitcase in hand, into the thick night air. The hostel sign above him flickered, "Welcome back." The irony settled like salt on his tongue. He inhaled deeply and whispered, "I'm coming home." The airport terminal buzzed with late-night travelers and the sharp clack of baggage wheels. Derek stood in line at the check-in counter clutching a single carry-on. No false passports, no offshore documents, no hidden duffels. He slid his real ID to the agent. His heart pounded with each stamp that marked his return to reality. "Enjoy your flight, Mr. Miles," the agent said, oblivious to his story. On board, he gripped the armrests as the plane climbed. Below, city lights blinked farewell. He closed his eyes, recalling the life he'd abandoned. Bright conference rooms, deals inked in gold, promises spun in whispers. Each promise had unraveled. Every bank account lay empty, every lie exposed. Hours later, Todd's text popped up. "I'll pick you up. Gate 4, 8:15. Derek tapped back. "Thanks." He rose stiffly as the seatbelt sign dimmed. His reflection in the overhead bin stared back. Gaunt features, hollow cheeks, defeat in his eyes. He waited at baggage claim. His single gray suitcase rolled out, Dirty wheels, frayed handle. No luxury, no secrets. Just the clothes on his back and the weight of his failures. He hoisted the case onto his shoulder and stepped into the heavy air of home. Todd, Chitty's brother, waved from the arrivals hall. "Welcome back, man." Derek managed a wan smile, voice small. "Hey." He swung around him in an awkward hug. He climbed into the back seat. Todd's car wound through familiar streets, neon signs, honking taxis, vendors hawking suya under glowing lamps. Derek closed his eyes against a surge of regret. He had nothing, no money, no identity but the one he tried to shed. But he did have a ticket, the one Lana had left behind. It was still his to reclaim. Todd glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "She's waiting for you." Derek inhaled. He willed himself to stand straighter. The cafe, L's, had taken the house's place. He'd seen the sign on a passing billboard, stylized script, warm glow, a promise of triumph. He had walked those few blocks before alone. Soon, he'd walk through its door again. No scheme, no anonymity. Just him. As they turned the corner, the warm light from L's windows spilled onto the pavement. Derek swallowed. He gripped his suitcase handle like a lifeline. "Okay," he whispered. "Let's go." The bell above the cafe door jingled as Derek stepped inside. The scent of roasted beans and vanilla cream washed over him. Patrons chatted softly over laptop screens and croissants. He approached the counter where she stood. Elle Monroe, once Lana Miles, radiant behind a sleek espresso machine, enrobed in a crisp black apron embroidered with the cafe's name. She didn't look up. She moved with composed precision, tamping grounds and sliding a stainless steel portafilter into place. Milk frothed under her skilled hand. The cafe fell into a hush as she poured a single cup, its crema perfect. Derek cleared his throat. "Lana." She paused mid-pour, eyes focused on the steaming cup. Her voice was soft, controlled. "Your usual." She set the coffee gently onto the counter. The cup's porcelain rim glowed under cafe lights. He hesitated, throat tight. Patrons glanced up, curious. He nodded, stepping closer. "Thank you." She met his gaze, cool gray eyes unreadable. "You left a cup here once, when you spilled coffee on your shirt." She slid a brown sugar packet toward him. "You said you'd buy me one cup for every mess you made." He forced a tremulous smile. "Guess I owe you 1,000,000 cups." She arched a brow. "Make it one." Her gaze sharpened. "Then leave." He set his suitcase down, ran a hand through his hair. "I came to apologize. To accept whatever you decide." She folded her arms. "You made a lot of mistakes, Derek." Her tone had the weight of years. "But you showed up." He took a slow sip of the coffee. Rich, bittersweet, grounding. He closed his eyes as warmth spread through him. He placed the cup on the counter. "I'm sorry for everything." She nodded, brows still furrowed. "Words are cheap." She tapped the counter. "Show it." He swallowed hard. "I will." In that moment, the distance between them shrank. The cafe some faded into background music. He saw not a triumphant woman whom he'd wronged, but someone who had rebuilt her world, cup by cup. He drew in a breath. "I understand." She turned and moved away to serve another customer. He watched her back. Strong, resolute, impossible to read. He picked up his suitcase. "I'll start there," he said quietly. She glanced over her shoulder, but didn't speak. He walked to an empty table and sat, watching her work, learning respect, patience, and perhaps hope. It was late afternoon when Derek finally rose from the table. The cafe was nearly empty, and Elle was wiping down the counter. He approached, wallet in hand. "I want to pay for that coffee." She paused. "Keep it." He cleared his throat. "No, I owe you more than coffee. I want to work here." She blinked, leaning against the counter edge. "Work? You?" He nodded. "I need to prove I can do something right." He met her gaze. "I'm not asking for love. I'm asking for forgiveness." Her expression flickered. "Why?" "Because I was a coward," he said, voice raw. "I ran from my mistakes instead of facing them. You deserve better than an apology letter or a court lawsuit. You deserve to see me try." Her eyes softened for the first time. She leaned forward. "Forgiveness isn't payment, Derek." "I know." He swallowed. But it's a start. She studied him, the cafe lights reflecting in her eyes. Finally, she nodded. Fine. You can start tomorrow. Front counter. 1 week, no pay. If you last, we'll talk wages. Relief flooded him. Thank you. She turned away, grabbing a clean towel. Don't mess it up. He watched her move, determination in every step. As he left the cafe, sun slipping beneath the horizon, he felt something he hadn't in months, purpose. 1 week later, Derek wiped down tables under the cafe's warm glow. His muscles ached, but he took satisfaction in each polished surface. At closing time, Elle approached, arms crossed. You lasted. She paused, gaze steady. You've done well. He exhaled. Thank you. She reached beneath the counter and held out a sealed envelope. Your first paycheck. Derek took it, fingers trembling. I don't deserve. She laid a hand on his arm. Stop. Her voice softened. You've earned this. He nodded, eyes glistening. Thank you for everything. She withdrew her hand and stepped back. This is your life now. She gestured to the cafe. Own it. He opened the envelope and peeked at the amount. A modest sum, but honest pay. He slipped it into his pocket. Elle turned toward the door. I'm going home. He watched her coat sway as she slipped out into the cool night air. He wanted to call her back, to reach for her hand, but she paused only for a moment. The bell above the door tinkled softly, then faded. Alone, Derek locked the cafe door and flipped the sign to closed. He leaned against the glass, watching her silhouette disappear down the street. She held her head high, free, unbowed. He pressed his palm to the cold glass. Her absence felt like a promise. They had both walked away once. Now, she walked away again, on her own terms. He exhaled, shoulders squared. The cafe behind him, the open street ahead, his new beginning. I hope you enjoyed this story. Please like, comment, and share. Also turn on the bell to get more of our videos. See you in the next story.